All right, I just jumped into a trade going short here on the NASDAQ 100. I haven't traded too much today, but I did mark some areas of supply zones resting right here, as you can see. And I'll briefly talk about those areas there. But this is a short entry trade. I've got my stop marked up above this area right here, shortly above 558 and a half. And I'm looking for this to run back down, possibly to this area here. Now the market's moving kind of sluggish and slow as we can, speak right now, but not a lot of price action activity as of today. But I saw price pulling back to this area here, and it could break this high right here and want to test higher areas. Maybe this area of supply resting right here around 570, but we'll see what happens here. But I'm looking for it to pull back before it actually pushes higher. So I'm going to hold this trade here, and it could actually pull a little higher here and test this zone right here around 560 on the lower base chart, my 12 range chart, before pushing lower. So I'm kind of watching that because I may need to reposition my stop. Got into the trade a little bit, late. So that's why I got in down here around 547, but I'm looking forward to possibly push lower here. So I may need to get my my stop a little bit more breathing room in a sense, but I'm expecting it to kind of push down, test this area of demand right here at the bottom down here. See this aggressive buying right here before it actually makes its next move, whether it's going to push up or continue pushing higher or not. So going to hold this trade, follow through with it. So right now, as you can see, the market's moving kind of slow and sluggish. So I'm expecting for it to break to the downside first before it probably pushes to the upside. So we will see what happens here. So I'm just going to hold this trade and allow it to play out, and then we'll see what happens. Now, if you caught either one of these trades today, this was a supply setup right here and another one down here at the bottom. It broke structure below here at 530 to the downside and then pulled back up here to 550. So the rejection there, again, this is off a higher base chart. I'm marking the supply zone. Moving down to a lower base chart, you could have gotten into a trade to go short, aiming for areas of the fill in this gap pretty much. We have imbalances resting below here, so fill the gaps in down here to the downside. There's an area of resistance right here, and a demand zone resting right here. There was also another opportunity to take a short entry, if you notice, as the market continued pushing to the downside. Again, it broke structure here below this area here at 505. Pulled back, broke structure. When it pulled back here to 513, you could have looked to get into an opportunity to go short as well. So there was two supply setups: aggressive selling, broke structure, break a structure here, and broke structure here. So two areas on a pullback right here, and then on this pullback right here. So I'll mark both of those up. If you caught either one of those to the downside, again, the aim would be for it, of course, to fill in the gaps, avoid back to the downside here. There was a demand area. It didn't quite run to that area there to the downside. It actually rejected and bounced off of the area of support below it, and then pushed back to the upside. So I'm going to hold this trade, wait it out, and see what takes place as it plays out. But again, we are it's roughly 1:20 Eastern time here, so I typically don't trade in the afternoon session. I like to take my entries into the morning sessions, but got extremely busy this morning handling some other matters. But we'll see. I'm gonna play this out and see what happens. I mean, I'm still into this trade here to the downside. It can pull back a little bit before pushing, of course, lower. The market could do something that it typically always does. It, pushes lower, pulls back. It's just how it flows, pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. But I'm expecting for it to run down here and possibly tap into this area of demand resting down here. And I have my profit target at 514, but it could come down here and test 509, 510 area as well. So I'm just going to hold this trade and let it play out. All right, so we can see the market's dropping here, moving down to my lower time frame, my 12 range chart. I'm gonna put my stop right here. That way, kind of move my stop as price is moving lower, locking in profit in a sense. But I think what I'll do is I may run it or pull it down a little bit lower right here. Let's see. It could pull back and test some of these higher areas though. So I need to be careful here because it's one of those things. Once you start taking in or running into profit, meaning that you're in profit. The question is always, where do you place your stop at? How do you trail it behind? It's hard to do so. You can't. There's no 100% science or answer to this or to that question there. You just kind of, what I do is always like to trail behind price. So each time it makes in this case here, a lower high, I like to move it, a little lower. Like it just made it's breaking lower now, breaking this low right here. So this is a lower high. I like to position it right above the last lower high. Okay, so I'm gonna move it down here, move it here now. So you can see it moving lower, and I may go ahead and take out here, so I may go ahead and take out here and see what happens. It's pulling back now, but I think it's gonna run down there and test this area down here. So it could test right here. All right, so I may position my stop a little bit higher. I'm kind of being, not say risky, but I want to see it run down there and fill that order that I have there, because I think it really does have the potential to run lower. I don't think it's quite done yet. I think it's going to go down there and tap that demand area, which I showed in this, where this red line is at. So that's off the higher base chart. So I'm going to take a little gamble here and hold it. Put my stop back just a little bit. Typically what I do is just to lock in profit. If you're looking to lock in profit, people always ask, well, how do I trail behind price? Like, just like I said, just move your stop each time it makes in this case here, because we're moving to the downside and expecting it to move lower, move it to the last lower high position. Okay, this is a lower high position right here, but just be mindful that it could test this area right here. So typically I like to, where it made a low here, pull back, broke lower, right? Okay, this was a lower high position that it just made. Okay, so it's running down now, so hopefully it goes ahead and look at that, to the tick. I think I'm gonna go ahead and close out right there. Okay. And as you can see what it did, it went down there to my original area where I had my profit target at, but I went ahead and took out a little bit earlier. I think I got like 31 points off that trade there to the downside. And again, if you don't quite understand what took place there, you have to be able to follow structure of the market. It was rejecting this area, breaking structure back to the downside, and it pulled back to this area here where it originally started breaking to the downside and taking out areas of structure. So we had supply here, runs back to the upside. This is a demand area, because just as it was breaking structure back down to the downside, now it started breaking structure back to the upside. So these are minor areas of this right here is a minor area structure that's breaking back to the upside. It could take out this swing high right here. That'll be a major structural break if it takes it out back to the upside here. But as you can see, it took out this minor area structure right here above 530. So now you see what it's doing. That's why I said this is a demand zone right here, aggressive buying as it pushed higher here. So it's rejecting that now. So where could it go? Break back up here to the upside. So we'll see what happens. So where I got into the trade was right, let's see, 547, a little bit lower here in this area right here. Okay. All right. So when I got into the trade, because what I saw taking place, the market was pushing back up, rejecting that area up here at the highs up here. And, this was an area where it started breaking structure back to the downside. So it got back up here, rejected. Yeah, it was tested already. You can see where it pulled back right here, but it rejected that area again and it pushed back lower. So when I saw that, I waited for this to kind of play out. You see it kind of zipping right here. When it started doing that and broke lower, I looked for an opportunity in my lower time frame, my 12 range, to get in. So that's why I was looking for a structural break, pull back to, area of demand. Supply, not demand. We're going short supply, and then it starts to run, runs lower. So what I'm talking about locking in profit each time that the market, so let's say this was the break even point right here. Okay. Each time the market breaks lower, I'm going to use this line right here to where it makes a low, a new lower high, and a new lower low. You can reposition, your stop back behind the lock in profit. So this is your break even, locking in profit, pushes lower, pulls back, breaks lower. You can move that stop down a little bit more. Okay, and as you can see, each time it did that, it never runs back up there and stops you out. And sometimes it will do that. They'll come back and test slightly higher areas. Like after they made this low here, all right, this lower low right here, the small little swings off of the the lower base chart, they'll come back and test this area right here. And they can, because there's a there's a gap, there's a void back up to this within this little small swing right here in areas which they can test. In this case here, they can't run into the downside. So it's just one of those things you take a gamble as far as like when you start locking in profit, sometimes they'll come up and test higher areas and it may stop you out. People get frustrated with that, but at least you didn't lose anything is what I'm trying to say. So, but that's how I kind of trail behind price. Each time it makes a lower low and lower high, move my stop down and lock in profit. Again, it makes a new lower low here, lock in profit. Lower low, lower high, the last lower high, lock in profit. Pushes down, and this is where I think I took out around this area right here. But again, it made a new low here, last lower high here, move the stop there, and then it hit my TP. You can see that. So that's how I kind of like to lock in profit as the market is moving in a certain direction. This case here, we moved to the downside, so I'm just moving my stop down below at the last lower high position as the market moves to the downside. Some people have a hard time doing that. They kind of just wait for the market to come all the way back up to the break even, and then it stops them out because maybe they had their stop resting right above this area, say right here, but this is the break even. Even if it came back to this area here, you probably may have had your stop resting right here, maybe a few ticks above that, and it probably would have never stopped you out. But again, it possibly could. If the market starts turning back around, you just kind of got to know, like, okay, do I go ahead and get the trade? Do I want to hold and sit through? Now, if you sit here and let it come all the way back to break even, then that's not a good thing to do, because you already could have locked in, 10, 15, maybe even 20 points and allow it to come back against you. That's a no-no there. If you see the market start climbing higher and starts to show bullish momentum back to the upside, where you start to get lots of bullish activity, you might want to think about going ahead and closing the market out. Closing your position out, because then more than likely it's trying to test higher areas. And as you can see, the market's just been flushing to the downside. We had a little bit of news this afternoon, which forced the market or drove it to the downside. There were a few areas where you could have taken pullbacks to take the continuation going short as we broke through areas of structure. But that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you tuning in and watching this video where I took that beautiful short entry trade up here at the tops, and I think what was I aiming for? I was aiming for lower areas down here, but I went ahead and took out I think around like 30, 31 points, something like that. But one and down for me today. I didn't do a lot of trading, but that's pretty much all you need sometimes. Just one nice trade setup like that. But you got to pay close attention to. That's why I always talk about market structure, and it's extremely important. If you cannot understand and read the market, you are not going to make it in this business. I'm just going to put it out there and be just be honest. Market structure is everything. It is the key to being successful in this business. But outside of that, I appreciate everyone tuning in and watching the videos. If you're not a current subscriber, please take the time to go ahead and sub by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Make sure to click on the bell to turn on all your post notifications so that you never miss one of the uploads. And last but not least, if you found value in the content within the video today, please drop a like on the video. Appreciate you. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.